you watched one of our previous videos, we talked about the differences in American homes and our current German home that we've noticed. And one thing that we have experienced is the different trash systems. Germany is very environmentally conscious, and one of the ways that we've experienced this the most is through their trash system.
So Germany isn't the most green country in the world, but they do have a lot more systems in place to try to make that happen than the United States does. And so it's something that we have observed a lot and learned a lot about since moving here, and something that we want to address a little bit more today. This is not a political video, it is simply just an observational video of things that we have noticed about German trash systems and how vastly different it is than our United States experiences.
One of the biggest differences we've noticed starts in our kitchen. Back home in our house in the US, we had one big trash can for all of our kitchen trash. We did recycle a little bit, but mostly just the obvious things like milk cartons, pizza boxes, things like that. But here in our home in Germany, we have 5 different trash cans. So the first one is plastics, paper, bio, glass, and all miscellaneous things.
So when you list it all out like that, it does make it sound pretty simple. Obviously paper goes on paper, plastic goes on plastic, but there are a lot of gray area items that we've noticed that we get very confused by, and we've actually heard a lot of different stories about where things go. Some examples would be like used paper towels that you've used to clean up the countertop. Some people say that goes in bio. I think some people say that goes in the miscellaneous trash, and then some people even say that that goes into the paper bin. If you get a paper envelope, you can throw that in the paper. But if it has a plastic window, what do you do with that? You separate the plastic window and put that in plastic and the paper in the paper. So there's all these different gray area items that do make it a little more complicated. A lot of regions do provide trash guidebooks that help you figure out what trash goes in what area. For us, we were just able to go down to our local rat house, ask for a trash guidebook, and they gave us this 33-page guidebook on how you separate your trash and how it all gets divvied up. So we were also very lucky, and then a lot of people talk about Ramstein being an American enclave, tons of Americans living here because of the military bases in the area. And so our trash guidebook was completely in English. They also developed an app that is completely for English speakers so that we can just quickly go on our phone and look up a specific item and what bin we throw it in. And also they will send us alerts every night before our trash pickup day as to what trash will get picked up the next morning.
Another thing that we have to remember is that each trash can in our kitchen corresponds to a bigger trash can outside. They do make it a little bit easier, and they have all the outside trash cans color-coded. And our understanding is that the number of trash cans that you have outside corresponds to the number of residents in your home. Our situation is a little bit different because we're in an apartment, so the trash cans were already there and there was already enough for everybody in the building. So we have also noticed that the trash cans outside are a little smaller than, actually a lot smaller than the trash cans that we had back home. So back home in the US, we had 2 big trash cans, huge trash cans that we would just dump all of our trash in, and we would just remember every Friday we have to wheel our big trash cans out to the curb, and then every other week we had our recyclables that we would wheel out to the curb.
In terms of picking up trash here, our pickup days are on Wednesday mornings every week. That changes for everybody depending on their location, but it's not as simple as every Wednesday they come pick up all of our trash like they did in the United States. Here we have to know what they're going to be picking up because it's sometimes plastic, sometimes it's bio, sometimes it's the miscellaneous, sometimes it's a combination of those. And so that's where our app and our guidebooks come in real handy because they will alert us and let us know the Tuesday night before what they will be picking up the next morning so that you don't end up putting out the wrong thing and then end up getting stuck with your trash for multiple weeks until the next time that they may come and finally pick up plastics. It's like every 2 weeks that they normally will pick up the various things. So if you forget to put your plastics out 1 week, you may not have your trash picked up for another 2 weeks, meaning you could have held on to the same plastics for like an entire month before it actually gets taken away. So whenever we do get the alert of what is going to be picked up, I just know what colored trash can I need to take out. And so brown is the biodegradable, black is the miscellaneous, and the blue is the paper. Now, whenever I describe those 3 though, that's 3 of our trash cans. We still have 2 that are missing. And that is going to be your plastics and your glass.
So plastics do not have their own trash can outside. Each home is given these big yellow bags by the city, and you put all of your plastics just in this yellow bag, and then whenever it's plastics day, you just set it out on the curb for them to come pick up.
And plastics also are not as simple as just putting plastics in as well. Again, we had to learn that you have to actually take like yogurt lids and separate them from the can. You cannot throw them away with those attached to each other. You have to rinse them out before you put them in plastic. So that gets kind of complicated.
So plastics have been most of our waste because it's a lot of our food containers, and because we have to rinse it out, most of our trash doesn't smell, which I really have liked that part.
The fifth type of trash that we have to get rid of is our glass. And glass is not as easy as just throwing it in the bin or sitting it in the bag and sitting on the side of the street. Glass is a very broad topic in and of itself. Glass you have to dispose of in multiple different ways. One, a lot of bottles, like beer bottles or
Coke bottles that are glass.
Yeah, those types of bottles you would take to the grocery store, and there's a big machine that you would drop those bottles into, and then once you get done dropping those in, you will receive a little receipt, and that will give you a cash value that you can go and take to the grocery store cashier, and then they will give you either money back on the groceries that you are purchasing, or they'll just give you cash and you get to take that money. It's not a huge amount of money, it's usually kind of small, but then if it doesn't fit inside of that category of bottles that you can return and reuse, you then have to take those to specific glass recycling boxes that are out in the community, and you divide those up by color. And then once you have divided those by color, you drop those into those big bins, and those will be taken away at another date. So our glass bin in our kitchen is just kind of sitting there and just collecting and collecting until we finally will actually take all of them down. And it usually will take a long time before we actually will take it out.
And we don't have a car. We have to carry all this heavy glass, so it's just something we keep putting off.
Yeah, and I've also seen online, I haven't actually seen this in practice, but I've seen some people talk about how Sundays are very different here than in the United States. It's almost like Sundays in the 50s in the United States, in that they really respect those as quiet and rest days. And so they're actually called, I think you pronounce it as ruatag, and you're not supposed to take those kind of glass jars and stuff to those disposal centers on Sundays because of all the noise that it makes whenever you're dropping inside. Just keep it down.
So after dividing up your trash that meticulously, our biggest question had been, what goes in that mysterious black miscellaneous trash can? So what we have discovered and what we've been putting in our miscellaneous trash can is bathroom trash, feminine products, clothes that have holes in them, Clorox wipes that we've used, or paper towels that are dirty and used, and other things we're kind of just having to learn as we go.
So now the question becomes, what happens if you don't do it correctly? Because in the United States, a lot of the times, wherever we lived, as far as recycling goes, that was just kind of, if you wanted to do it, they would come and pick it up. If you didn't do it, then you just throw it in your trash and that's your business. But here, it is not that way. You have to follow these rules. And we've heard a lot of rumors about fines that can come about if you don't do it correctly. And so they do periodically check your trash and make sure that you're following the correct rules. The easiest one that I've seen is the most checked has definitely been the yellow plastic bags, because those are just laying out there as kind of a see-through bag, so they can quickly just look inside and see if those things are right. And if it's not, then they put a sticker on it saying that you incorrectly did it, you need to resort it, and they will come pick it up at a later date. I don't know how they, if they actually issue fines for that, but really, to me, the bigger punishment is that you just have to hang on to your plastic trash for another 2 weeks before they come back. So there are a lot of rules in place that must be followed, or else you will get in trouble.
You can also get fined if your trash can is overflowing, like the big trash cans out on the street. If they are not completely closed, you can get fined for that as well.
So going through all of this process has been extremely interesting for us to learn about this completely different trash system. It's one of the reasons actually too why we're really excited to be living in another country, because when you're traveling, you don't really get to learn these little nuances than if you just move there and live there. But that's not to say that it hasn't come with a few annoyances that we kind of learned to deal with, and also
just have to get through.
Yeah. And so some of that stuff is like the bottles building up, it's the trash building up for a long time before you actually take it out, it's the smell of the bio that you have to take out really regularly, or else that stuff ferments inside of your kitchen and it just smells
because we don't
disgusting.
have a garbage disposal, so we have to put anything that is from our plates, anything from cooking has to go in there, and it gets pretty smelly.
Yeah. And then also, I've seen a lot of things online that we haven't experienced yet that I hope we don't have to experience. It's the other complications of bigger trash things. Like if someone renovates an entire bathroom and they have all this drywall, or they have like tile and all kinds of things like that, I've read about people who just will leave that on their balcony or in their backyard just for months on end, just because it's so complicated to figure out what to do with it. And even like tires for your car, if you get brand new tires, the guidebook says that you have to return the old tires to the dealer to be able to dispose of those tires. There's just all these rules that do make it seemingly complicated and frustrating just to get rid of stuff, but it's all supposed to be for a greater good, I guess is the silver lining of that.
So all of this sounds very complicated, and in some ways it has been complicated, but on just a day-to-day basis, it really hasn't been as bad as we thought it was gonna be, and we've really enjoyed learning about how to recycle better, how to divide up our trash better, and think of the environment a little more. It's been interesting. So we have been able to pick out some ways that if we do return back to the US, that we would want to implement when we go back there.
And there's just no way that you could ever do a fully detailed video of everything trash related in Germany, just because there are so many things. Like I said, the book is 33 pages and it gets very specific about the various types of trash that you can have. And so there's just no way that you can ever do a video as detailed as you need to do. But this is just kind of a general guide. This is how it's done in Germany. This is how you can find help if you are looking for ways to throw out your trash and not get in trouble with the system. So we hope that that was very interesting and helpful for you. And if you have any questions or if you have any advice for us on how to better take care of our trash here,
we're still learning.
Yeah, definitely drop that in the comments because we would really appreciate all of that help. So thanks so much for watching, guys. We hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe and hit that bell so you can get notified whenever we have new videos coming up, because we have a lot more planned and we would love for you to come along this journey with us.
Bye.